Hey guys, it's Victoria, and I just filmed Lydia's 6-month update. And when I was filming that, I started to talk about feeding. Sorry, there's a fly. About feeding solid food, and I started to get into my experience with the other two. And I thought maybe I'll make that into a separate video so that it didn't get too long-winded in her update. So I'll just start sort of what we did with Noah. I did sort of what was traditionally done, what my parents did. We started with rice cereal, and then we went into purees and started with sweet potatoes, and then, you know, did the carrots and the squash, and then the pears and peaches, and, you know, the fruits, and then the meat ones, which were disgusting looking. So I didn't actually give him a lot of the meat ones because they looked really gross. And by the time he was eating meat, he could kind of pick up real meat, so we didn't do a whole lot of that. But we did purees with him until he was a little bit older, and then we started giving him sort of real food. And I think the first real meal he had was at Christmas, so he would have been about 10 months, and it was when we gave him, like, we had turkey dinner and we just gave him bits and pieces of our meal. But we did purees up until about that point, and it was fine. I mean, he liked it, he didn't have any issues with it, but I found it a challenge. It was a pain. It was something you had to worry about on top of your regular meals, something completely separate you had to prepare. You had to go out and buy it or make it. I think I made a few things, but generally I used the jarred baby food. You had to go out and buy it, so you always had to make sure you had it on hand. When you go out somewhere to eat, you'd have to bring it with you and then find a way to sort of warm it up. And it was a lot of extra steps that were kind of a pain. So with Alexandria, I wasn't looking forward to it, and we started with rice cereal with her too, and then I started with purees, and she would not eat them. She would put it in her mouth and spit it out and look like just appalled that we were trying to feed her this food. So I'd heard about baby led weaning, and I'd read about it a little bit, and I always thought it was crazy, and the whole like choking thing just freaked me out, and I was completely opposed to it for myself. I knew that it worked great for other people, but I had no interest in doing it. But then when you have a child who won't take purees, you kind of have to look at something else. So I said one day, like, I didn't plan it, I didn't really prepare it, I didn't read any books. I had a banana and I just gave her a chunk, and she went to town and loved it. So I said, hey, maybe there is something to this, and maybe this can work for us. So then I started with, I think, sweet potatoes and then carrots. So sort of the same foods that you would do when you do purees, but I just would boil it or slice it into like finger-shaped sticks, boil it, and then just give those to her. And she loved it, and it was so easy because we almost always have a vegetable with our supper, and it also, I think, got us to eat more vegetables than we otherwise would have. And I don't know if other people do it this way, but I would sit with her and sort of hold the spear of food and let her guide it into her mouth and eat what she wanted. So she was doing the guiding and controlling how much she ate, but I was there to sort of hold on to reduce that gagging. And I will say that I know that gagging is not choking, and that babies' gag reflex is a lot higher up than in adults. So when they gag, it's not because they're choking, it's just their way of sort of protecting themselves from choking. But I'm still not a fan of, you know, listening to my baby gag, so I would try to help her so that she wouldn't put too much in her mouth at the same time. And I thought it was great. It was so much easier. She just sort of had what we were having, and when we would go out, there was always something that she could have. You know, we just get like some vegetables or something, or even just raw like peppers and carrot sticks and things like that for her to chew on, which were great for teething as well. And I just thought, this is the way to go. This is so much easier. So this time with baby number 3, my plan is to do baby led weaning again. We just started cereal yesterday with her, and I know a lot of people do skip cereal, but I feel that it's just a good sort of starter for them, just a little something more solid in their stomach other than milk before you make that jump to having like real solids. So that's sort of how I look at it, and I won't do cereal for too long, but just as a starter. And then probably next week I'll start with, I think sweet potatoes it's been the first food for the other two, so I'll probably keep that for her too. And then we'll just move on to other foods. And everything that I've heard says that there's no restrictions on food anymore except honey, so obviously we'll stay away from that. But you know, it's nice to be able to just pretty much do whatever, and there's not a whole lot of, you know, rules about it. So I'm actually looking forward to getting started. I think she's ready, and it'll be nice to have her. She's been sitting in her high chair while we eat, but have her really like join us in the meals. And as for milk, she's on formula, but with my breastfed baby and my 2 formula babies, around, well, not Noah, because back when I had him, the recommendation for whole milk was a year, but then it sort of switched to around 9 months. So with Alexandria, who was breastfed, I introduced milk in a sippy cup around, I think, 9.5 months. And then between 10 months and a year, I just gradually decreased her breastfeeding in favor of a sippy cup of milk, so that at a year, she was completely weaned and on whole milk in a sippy cup, and that worked great. So that is sort of my plan for Lydia as well. Sometime between 9 and 10 months, introduce it in a sippy cup. I did give her a sippy cup on the weekend of water just to see what she would do with it. She didn't do anything with it really, kind of chewed on it a little bit. But I'll just keep giving it to her just so she gets used to it. And then I'll start giving her whole milk between 9 months and 10 months, and then gradually decrease her bottles in favor of the sippy cup, so that around a year, we can be done with bottles forever, which will be a nice feeling. So that is my experience with baby led weaning. If you guys have any questions, leave them below. I know that this is it's a challenge. It's a difficult thing for just feeding solids in general for new moms especially, but even as, you know, a 3rd-time mom, I've had to look back and see, what did I do with the other ones, because I don't remember. It's a whole new experience for you and for the baby. So if you have any questions, just put them below and I'd love to answer them. And I see my little tiger. I wonder if I can turn you so you can see her. Let me see. She's dressed as a tiger. Noah's dressed as a knight. I see her coming. So I will go on that note. But thanks for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.